All right, guys, good morning and happy Saturday. How's everybody doing this morning?
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Doing great. Happy Saturday.
Good morning.
All,
Morning,
all right.
everybody.
Hello. Good morning.
Morning.
I think everybody's so enthusiastic because it's actually the last Saturday Zoom of the year. And they're like, yeah. But hey, guys, it is Saturday and it is our last Saturday walk and talk session for the year. And this is just another episode of Voices of Health Point. And for those that are new to this, it's just we're quite frankly a lot of us like-minded people that are either coaching HealthPointe or maybe we're clients participating in HealthPointe. It's a mixture of both of those categories, and we get together bright-eyed and bushy-tailed 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays to just get together. Sometimes hit some specific topics, and but mostly just kind of go around the table and just kind of chat about all things HealthPointe. So we're going to get kicked off here again and get rolling. And for those that don't catch us live, many of whom don't, this will be uploaded to the Voices of HealthPointe YouTube channel, so you can catch it at a time that works for you. So we've got a couple of exciting docket items. I'm going to start us off with a relatively short segment on kind of clearing up some things as it relates to protein misconceptions is what I'm going to call it. And then Carol is going to do a very timely segment and really looking forward to this on launching into a healthy 2025. So wrapping up the 2024 year with our last Saturday walk and talk of the year. Couldn't think of a more appropriate topic than what Carol's got lined up. But with that, let me jump into my segment on clearing up some protein misconceptions. So let's clear up two common misconceptions. One, and you sometimes hear this, and that is HealthPointe is a quote unquote high protein program. Maybe some of you have heard that. That's not true. It's not true. It's an adequate protein, and it is aligned with best practices, and we'll take a look at that. The second misconception, and maybe some of you haven't really thought about this, maybe that's good, you don't overcomplicate it, but the second misconception is that the weight of the food that you eat, in this case protein, equals the amount that it provides, the amount of protein that it provides. Okay, so when it comes to understanding daily protein requirements, one of the most common misconceptions is that the weight of the food you eat equals the amount of protein it provides. This assumption often leads to confusion and underestimation of how much protein you're actually consuming. And I'll just note on that, particularly in these day and age with things like deficit diets, starvation, whether that's being just a calorie counting, hey, I'm going to go into 2025 and just not eat anything for the first month or something like that, or with drugs like GLP-1 type drugs, that is also something that you want to be very aware of in terms of your protein intake for all your body functions, but particularly on the topic of sarcopenia, particularly as somebody ages and you don't want to unknowingly put at risk that lean muscle mass. So let's clear this up and break it down into practical terms you can better understand on how to meet your protein needs. Many notable experts in nutrition, including Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, I know many of you are familiar with her, maybe have read her book. Another one, actually, Dr. Rashni Sangani, and she does an excellent job on this, particularly because her demographic is focusing in on the Indian market. So she's an MD and an endocrinologist focusing in this space and has practiced both in the U.S. and over in India. And as you get into different ethnic meals, sometimes, particularly with Indian, it can be, lacking the animal protein. So she does a really great job of talking through that. So they emphasize the importance of adequate protein intake, particularly for maintaining muscle mass and overall health as we age. A widely cited guideline, maybe many of you have heard this, you listen to podcasts, a widely cited guideline is that individuals should aim for about 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of weight per day. I know this is grams and kilograms, and we'll do some conversion here to ounces, but to put this in perspective, 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight works out to approximately 0.54 grams of protein per pound. So for example, if you're 150 pounds, that is about 81 grams. If you're 200 pounds, that's about 100, 110 grams. So just remember that range of 80, 90, 100, 110 is and do your adjustments if you're much smaller, do the adjustments if you're much larger. But that bell curve of 80 to 100, 110 grams is something to bear in mind. So here's where the confusion often starts. Many people assume that eating the equivalent weight of their protein requirement in chicken, beef, or eggs would meet their daily needs. But the truth is the weight of the food itself is not equal to the amount of protein it contains. Different foods have different protein concentrations, so you need to calculate based on the protein content, not the total weight. Let's look at some examples of protein content in real foods. Let's take chicken breast. Chicken breast contains about 31 grams of protein per 100 grams, which is roughly 3.5 ounces. This means that a 4-ounce serving of cooked chicken breast provides about 35 grams of protein. Beef, a steak, cooked steak contains approximately 26 grams of protein per 3.5 ounces. So a 4-ounce serving of steak contains about 30 grams of protein. So remember that. The chicken was about 35 grams. The beef is about 30 grams per 4 ounces. Let's look at eggs. A large egg contains about 6 grams of protein. So, simple math on that. That's about 6 grams. So let's take a look at HealthPointe specifically. And the HealthPointe program takes much of the guesswork out of meeting protein needs. Don't you love that? I mean, time and time again, we always say all healthy roads lead to HealthPointe. We see it time and time again. But they take much of the guesswork out of meeting protein needs by providing clear portion sizes for protein. Virtually all protein portions in the HealthPointe food list are around, and I could quiz everyone on this. I'm sure everybody would get it right, except for maybe the newest person. But the protein portions in the HealthPointe food list is how many ounces? 4 ounces, which is consistent with the examples we just ran through. So in addition, the program emphasizes protein-based snacks between meals. Now, this is where many of us would not get this correct on a true or false test or a multiple choice test for sure, because it's kind of buried in the daily messages. And if I ask how many people diligently read or listen to their HealthPointe daily messages, I know myself included, I was guilty of that for quite some time, and therefore did not key in on this information, which is what is the quantity specified in the HealthPointe program for those protein snacks between meals. Well, it's 10 to 20 grams is what the answer is. And that's, again, in the daily messages. It's not in kind of the overall HealthPointe booklet. So when you do the math, the daily intake suggested by HealthPointe virtually perfectly aligns with the 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And of course, again, as I mentioned, variations can vary, or there can be variations based on, whether you're starting into the program as a very small human being, or a very large. So you just do that adjustment. But for that, say that 150 to 200 pounds ish, that recommendation that you see in HealthPointe aligns virtually perfectly. So by focusing on appropriate protein portion sizes and incorporating protein snacks between meals, the HealthPointe program demonstrates a clear understanding of nutritional science. This approach not only supports muscle mass and overall health, but also simplifies the process of meeting daily protein needs. It's another reminder that thoughtful, science-backed planning makes all the difference when it comes to creating a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. Okay, guys, so I just wanted to spend a little time on that one. If anybody's got any questions, comments, thoughts on the topic of protein, kind of dispelling the myth that HealthPointe is a quote unquote high protein program. It's not. And any questions on kind of the math behind the portion sizes? I love it. That means that I must have, oh, Dave, you're talking and you're muted. You were unmuted and then you muted.
Very good. I always enjoy the information you give us, especially because you are right that many people think of us as a high protein. I like that term, we're adequate protein. And when you talk about weighing and portion size, again, I think of Dr. Stu Min. He said that was one of the things that Americans really struggle with is understanding portion sizes. And when you weigh 4 ounces and see how small it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is interesting, isn't it? When you start weighing your food and of course, over time, maybe in a 1 6-week cycle, but certainly multiple 6-week cycles, it's still recommended that you weigh it. I never like to vary from that, even though I can pretty much eyeball what 4 ounces looks like. But yeah, good point, David. And it's something like you said that Dr. Stu Min, we've referenced him before. He's a very notable physician and is a real expert on HealthPointe. And yeah, the importance of weighing it out for sure.
In addition to weighing it out, he also talked again that I found interesting for me was that whoever is the cook should place the food on the plate with the correct portion sizes and bring it to the table. Because if you just eat family style, like you're in Frankenmuth chicken dinner, that portion size most likely is going to go all to hell.
Yeah, I love that you referenced the Frankenmuth chicken dinner.
Yeah. Everybody relates to
that.
One of my weaknesses.
I may have been imagining it, but I think the last time I ate there, I did see a dump truck backing up to unload the chicken onto the table. It was quite the size. Yeah.
I think in addition to the cooking point that David made is excellent, and it's also the shopper. When you buy, let's say you buy fresh salmon or you buy chicken or whatever, or you buy it bulk and then you break it down for easy thawing, I think it's important to keep those measurements in hand so that when you go to grab your container, you're grabbing the right amount. You're not having to weigh it every time. And that all comes with preparation and habit forming. And then I think the other thing about HealthPointe is that, let's say you take a large person that needs more protein, well, they can do more snacks also. And so your snacking amounts can vary according to activity level, age, need, hunger, all of those things. So we have some things in there that we can work with that really help along the process.
Yeah, that's very well put, Carol. And to unpack a little bit on this space with some of these folks, a lot of doctors that are emphasizing adequate protein. They'll make note of that, like you mentioned, Carol. Like, for example, if somebody is doing a significant amount of weight training, working out, they may be upwards of 1.5 or even 2 grams per kilogram, right, based on those needs. So I think that's important to note. And then I think what's really I want to highlight on this is if somebody is using a calorie counting or a GLP-1 type approach to their weight loss, do we think that they're getting 3 4-ounce servings or thereabout along with their protein snacks? Not in my experience, not the people that I know, because they just physically can't eat that amount. And so if they're knocking it down to, instead of getting 1.2 grams per kilogram of weight, if they're knocking it down to a third of that, maybe only getting in 4 or 5 ounces of protein per day, in terms of a serving, only having the equivalent of, let's just say, 1 4-ounce piece of chicken breast, simply because, as I think it's Dr. Lustig says, with the GLP-1 drugs, your stomach turns to stone.
Yeah.
I heard him reference that almost biblical phrase on what happens with the slowing of the GI tract. But the point is that what does that translate into in terms of sarcopenia and the risk of slip and fall and injuries later due to weak skeletal muscle? And so I think that's something that we really want to compare and contrast when we're talking about the HealthPointe program. Sometimes people are aware of that, sometimes that they're not, and they just naively think if they can just eat less across the board, eat less carbohydrates, eat less fat, eat less protein as well, that's a good thing. And lo and behold, moving into the future, they can be struggling with other ailments, very serious ailments, due to falling and injuring themselves. And then if they are older, if they're 20 years old, that's one thing. But if they're older, that recovery is not like when you're 20 years old. So it's all the more important.
I think the other thing you brought out, Eric, probably middle of your program or towards the end, was about people that have high muscle and a muscle content in their body. And when you go back to HealthPointe, if we're talking to HealthPointe clients, most likely you're not talking to that market, because that market, if they've got high muscle mass, pretty much have been doing some things to keep themselves muscular. And, so the whole weight dynamic is going to be different. What we're talking about here is a person that comes on, wants to get healthy eating habits, wants to get a balance in their program, and wants to lose weight. So this is the market that we're targeting. And so I think some of the things you brought out were just really spot on, because you're dealing with a person in that market rather than some, punching iron, macho.
Yeah, bodybuilder type of a
yeah.
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah. In fact, in HealthPointe, kind of we'll say the reverse is usually the case. Usually people aren't doing that. Like you say, Carol, they're not coming in as a bodybuilder or strength training or something like that, but they come in first for getting healthy, which is generally a weight loss focus and a blood sugar control and getting that. And then once they do, along with that confidence and renewed health, then often they'll start into some very important, strength training that they get in throughout the week. And I love, by the way, a little plug for our amazing Network 21 educational program. Those of us that receive the drop, they kind of surprise us with these drops once in a while that are in addition to our immense library of audio content. And I think it was right around Christmas. I was like, woohoo, look at this little Christmas present. And it was that nice drop of just a short, maybe 15-minute audio with that really amazing gal coach, another one over in Australia that came into the program actually as a trainer. And I know we've got Erica on here, by the way. It's just shout out to Erica, kind of a similar situation there with Erica coming into becoming a HealthPointe coach as a trainer or kind of working in that space as well. But yeah, she emphasized the value that people should be eventually working into, a strength training regimen and so forth. But even absent of that, she was emphasizing that the reason this program is so sustainable is you may or may not be able to do that every day given your travel or whatever, but everybody can walk. And
well, Eric, that when I saw HealthPointe, like you, I dove right into it, and I thought it was great from a sponsoring standpoint, sponsoring somebody that is in that field already. And it was interesting because we have an IBO out in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I shot it over to her because she's fit, and she's been with a company called Jazzercise for many, 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 many years. And I thought, well, that would be HealthPointe would be a nice arena for her. So I sent her a text. Well, she actually had emailed me on a little thank you on the Christmas letter I sent out. So that opened the conversation. And then I asked her if she would be open to listening to a video, an audio, and she said, absolutely. So anyway, I sent it to her and she listened to it right away. And then she answered back. I said, just give me your feedback. And of course, whenever you're dealing with any companies, you're dealing with conflict of interest issues. And so she said, Jazzercise has an eating program and blah, 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 And I said, well, I know the company's been around for many years and that's fine. I said, by any chance, do they do anything holding a supplemental line? And she said, no, actually, they don't. And then she said, which brings me to the point that perhaps we do need to talk more to see, if HealthPointe is a thing that I can work in. So we don't know where it's going to go. I'm going to talk to her today. But the point is that when we have these tools and you think of somebody, get the tool out right away to the IBO or even the person in the marketplace that that's in that health and wellness field, because you never know what it could lead to. And I don't know what this is going to lead to, but there is a void there that I think we can fill, and who knows? She knows other people and, what have you. So I would really alert everybody when these drops come in, listen to them right away. They're not long. And what they will do is keep your brain focused in on possibilities. One thing that I learned over the years of listening to audios and then not listening to audios, because we all slip and slide from time to time, is that when I'm listening to them regularly, and the more I listen to them, the more focused I become and the more possibility driven I become. And so if you feel like sometimes you get flat on, where to take your business or possibilities, just listen to a few audios. And it's amazing what that's going to do to your brain. It's really amazing. So that was a good one.
Yeah, it sure was. Yeah. And yeah, I guess double click on that moment, a moment here, Carol, and then I want to leave you plenty of time to cover your main docket item here, which we're all excited about. But yeah, I think understandably, and we need to acknowledge that sometimes if people out there are already kind of in the industry, there may be a conflict of interest or something like that you have to pay attention to, of course. Make sure that you're doing everything that is in accordance with whatever employment agreement or whatever is in place. But at the same time, and I thought that was really interesting, Carol, because it didn't necessarily come to my mind immediately, is that if there is a segment of someone's health that is not being covered in that program that they're part of, then you can come in and have that segment offered. So I just think that here's kind of the key takeaways that I took. And I realize for those that are simply in the program to lose weight and maybe not focused on building business and incomes and stuff like that, this is a little bit of a segue here, but I just will say that there are a lot of people that are out there, as this author was, the person that did this audio, I don't recall her name. She was, as I understood it, kind of an independent. She wasn't associated with like a jazzercise or whatever. So of course that opened her up to do whatever she wanted to because she didn't have those constraints. But also, I thought it was very interesting that she pointed out that even though that she was in this training as a trainer, she was experiencing where her clients were not getting results that they would like when it comes to weight loss and handling that component. And I think that is very common. I think there are a lot of trainers out there that have, or people in that kind of line of work, line of profession, that have their own book of business. They've got 10 clients, 50 clients, or whatever. Maybe they meet at a gym, maybe they do it on Zoom, but they have this book of business, and they have, wonderful clients that are moving along, and I'm sure getting gains in what they want to achieve. But my experience is that a lot of the trainers, and again, I meet with a lot of people, for example, once a month, I meet with a group that is almost solely in the health space. And I'm not sure that most of them, if, put to a test on what are the components that you need to hit in order to sustainably and predictably lose weight and maintain optimal health, I don't know that many of them would be able to lay it out for me. And so I think there's a lot of people out there that are independent trainers, independent professionals that have a book of business, a book of clientele that could really do as this woman did and parlay the, offering HealthPointe to them and help those people out tremendously. And then also, there's a pay it forward component of this, so it can really expand beyond what they could personally train in their own, training program. So, yeah.
Well, I think the other thing too is the mental detox. And sometimes we forget about how valuable that is. And sometimes when we bring folks on, maybe we don't stress that enough. And so they don't have as positive experience as they would have if we really stressed. This is one of the components of the program, is listening to an audio every day and reading 15 minutes every day. This is one of the key important segments of the program, just like drinking water, getting your steps in, snacking, and all of the other things, supplementing. It's the brain, and that's what rules everything. And that's what's going to give you a successful or not successful experience, is getting that input. So, and those, they don't, Network 21's got a worldwide cadre of input on that. And we're going to push for getting it even bigger and bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, that has been great on covering, the initial segment here on understanding protein and so forth. And Carol, I'm excited. I'm sure everyone's excited to have you help us understand launching into a healthy 2025. So the mic is yours.
Okay, well, thank you, Eric. And a great session and great launch as always. It's perfect launch. Just going back to the benefits of the HealthPointe program. And I have to say to you, Eric, probably three weeks ago or something, you had committed that you're going to go back on the program, as you do every period of time, to just kind of flush out little maybe things we get sloppy on, and then just really focus in on the value of the program. And it made me think. And so I decided that, this is just a prime part of the year now. And we all know, and we talk about this all the time, how just everybody's joining in. They're all going to be joining in the gyms for, a year membership that lasts about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then they just lose focus because no coach, no nothing. And there they are. And, pretty soon, middle of January, and and it all goes kaput. So what I thought would be a great idea is tying right in with you, Eric. And I want to present it to anybody and everybody that's on the program. Now, some of you probably are on the program and newbies, and that's fine. But many of you have gone through the program successfully, kept weight off successfully. Maybe some of you want to go back on the program to kind of tweak and clean up your act as we move into 2025. And so I thought it would be fun to do a launch of a new lean team, and Network 21 coined that phrase years ago. And I don't believe they're doing anything right now, but I thought we as an organization could do a lean team. And so here's what ideas I have, and I wanted to put it out to you guys if there's any input that you have, and if you're willing to support it, because you or I or Eric or any of you are only one person, and together we can make a real success of this and create a dynamic, but by ourselves it's pretty hard to do that. So what I thought we could do, and I'm going to probably bounce around here a little bit, but I'll just give you a real quick scenario of what came to my mind. And my first thought was started on January 6th, being January 6th would be your protein day. Then I thought back and I said, you know, what is one of the weaknesses in getting a person started on HealthPointe? And you guys give me your input on this. But my feeling as I listen to people, putting people on HealthPointe, what have you, is an inadequate preparation time. And I think that sometimes, even though on the Network 21 messages, and now we have them on a playlist, thanks to Eric's administrative assistant. So we'll make sure you all have that. For those of you that don't have access to an app, we do have the playlist of those short 1-minute messages, but they spend a number of days right in the very beginning on prep. There is audios on prep. And I don't think we do a good enough job mentally helping them to understand what we are expecting of them if they're going to join the program, and how to properly prepare so that you do have a successful experience. And so in other words, you're like you are the coach, and it's important as a coach that you want a person to have a successful experience. And so in order to do that with your experience, these are the things that are necessary in the very beginning, and then go through prep period. So I would say that our January 6th, we might want to call prep and commit. And I will send this out too once we kind of scratch it out. But the first week, prep and commit. And what that means is for those going on the program for the first time, for those that are have been on the program and are regular users, to make sure that you have your non-negotiables in your hands before you start the program. In other words, you don't place your order 2 days before you decide you're going to start your program, because you don't have the necessary supplements, you don't have the necessary protein powders, you don't have the necessary protein products for snacks, you haven't cleaned your closets out, gotten rid of your Christmas cookies and everything else that's sauntering around in your closets or wherever you hide your stuff. So I would say that would be the first week. And let's talk about prepping and being ready to go on the second week, which will be your number 1 week. That is your jump start days, your 3 jump start days, and your balance of your menu for the week. So that will be your week number 1. And then from there, we move to week number 2, and that is your second menu week. 3 is your third, and 4 is your fourth. And then the next 2 weeks will be your metabolic adjustment or add more food. I really like the word metabolic adjustment, and I think we need to use that word more, because add more food is kind of a sloppy term, because most people don't go into their materials and see how much and how tightly that is presented. This is not just, slop more food on your plate or eat more fat or, eat that sausage because you're adding more. You got to have another piece of protein. So you have a sausage that's loaded with sugar and salt and stuff. And then you wonder, why you're not being able to maintain or at least stabilize your weight. Where metabolic adjustment, if you explain to a person why this is so unique in the HealthPointe program, then that's where it becomes very effective, because they understand that you are staying on the same eating program. You're just adding more quantities according to the way it's spelled out in your book and on your audios. And there's a couple of really good prep audios on that. So then you could do that week 5 and 6, and then I'm sorry, 5 and 6, which would be 6 and 7 weeks of the program meeting. And then the 8th time we meet would be celebrate and brag. And even though I didn't really want to make it 8 weeks, I think celebrate and brag, if we talk about that enough, will keep people on a relatively short time period where they know that in front of other cohorts, they can celebrate and brag on what they have lost. And if they haven't, and they see other people that have, what it does is it really embraces the idea in their mind that, yes, this program does work. Perhaps I didn't do quite as well as I hoped, because maybe I, got sloppy here and there, or I wasn't accountable or whatever. So that's kind of my thinking. And I don't want to tie it in with walk and talk, because I think walk and talk is more, it can be a little bit more college prep material sometimes. And what we want to do is take a new person, or a person that is new to the program, that perhaps wants to be a coach and is going in for their 6-week training, so to speak. They're going on the program for 6 weeks so that they can learn how to be a coach. We want that to be very clear, very driven to the messages, the playlist messages or the app messages, if they do have an app. Very important on reminding them every week to get into the user guide, and where you find this, where you find that in the user guide, getting into the journal and how you journal this. And even if you do, let's say a digital journal, which some of you do and do it very effectively, for those that don't feel comfortable with that, just running copies off of the journal or buying extra journals is just a real simple way of really being accountable to your coach. And so that's kind of the way I thought that it would lay out. And what I also thought was that we could do that on a Monday night for 20 to 30 minutes, absolutely no longer than that. This is not about a big presentation. This is about a weekly check-in with the group, to supplement your daily check-in with your coach. And then we can give 1 or 2 checklists, make it simple, and explain what this next week will be, and sometimes the pitfalls, to really, really teach them the HealthPointe program. So, so anyway, I did want to mention also, and then I'll open this up, that Network 21 does now have online for ordering your journals and your guides, and they're each $10, so they're not expensive. And I know we're in a position where we can't sell to clients, but I would say if a client is willing to go through the 6-week period with you and purchase the non-negotiable package, then I would say invest $20 in them and get them a guide, or build it into the price of a product somewhere, or have them just give you $20 cash or whatever. You can figure that out. But I would say those 2 things, if they don't have a HealthPointe kit, the journal and the guide is available. We have the playlist. If you do not have access to the app, if you're a new person, then you can just go on the playlist that Eric's assistant has provided for us. If you do have the app, you can read it. And then the non-negotiables that I suggested is the buy 3, get 1 free. I think that is really, really good, because it gives you your organic protein powder, It gives you your double X and your omegas, and it gives you, and you can really stress. You do this 3 months, and then you get the 4th month free with a $90 order. That's really a good deal for them. And then what I would suggest as part of the package is to add on a box of the excess protein shakes. And the reason I say that is that I think our company, with all due respect, has fallen very short on providing us a protein bar, a real protein bar that we can eat and not get a bunch of carbs in it. And I think and I might be mistaken on this, and that is a negotiable for you. But my feeling is if you give them an extra box of chocolate excess liquid shakes or vanilla, they can take those shakes wherever they go. They're simple, they're easy, and a snack might be a quarter of a shake, might be 2 or 3 slugs. It might be take a little cup, a little 4-ounce cup or whatever, a little small cup, and just pour some out, stick the rest in the refrigerator or in a cooler or whatever, and you're good to go. And you've got pure protein. So you're not adding in a bunch of additional carbs in there. And what that does in the beginning is it teaches a person to keep the program really clean. Because what I'm experiencing with people when they go on the program now, as I'm hearing people coaching, is that there's a lot of sloppiness in their food choices, and they're not sticking to what's on the lists, and they're eating things that are way too fatty, way too salty, way too full of sugar, where if they just go to their guide and they choose from the guide, and for at least for the first month, we say to them, if it's not on the guide, don't eat it. Simple like that. And that keeps it really clean for that first month. They'll have a very successful experience, and it's a shorter period of time. So it's not, okay, you're going on the program and you got 150 pounds to lose. This is a big chunk to eat. But if you say, we're going on a 6-week eating program, we're going to have 6 weeks of check-in with a week before prep and a week after bragging and celebrating. Are you willing to join? And it'll be on Mondays for 20 to 30-minute check-in with the group to supplement your daily check-in with me as your coach. And I'm saying me, whoever you are coaching, with you as the coach. And it'll be just quick, simple, to the point, and just keep driving those HealthPointe initial things that made that program so clean and good. Keep driving those back to those new people. Also, if they're a coach, they're learning the program for the first time. So they're learning a very clean, precise program that they can teach. And so that's that. And then the other thing, if people feel that this is something they want to go with, we can promote that on Monday. We have our Monday night Zampa Zoom, and we can promote that to everybody. We can invite customers, we can invite preferred customers, we can invite our IBOs, and we can just,
Tuesday night.
Well,
Tuesday
no,
night.
it'll be Monday, because this Monday, we are doing it instead of Tuesday, because Tuesday's New Year's Eve.
Oh, I see. This just one time. Gotcha. All
Just
right.
this one time. Yes. I'm sorry. I didn't make myself clear. Yeah. This Monday, the 30th, will be an end of month, end of year, New Year celebration. And let's launch into the new year with a program that will create volume. It will create sponsoring, because if you're talking to people about being a potential coach, first thing they need to do is go through the program. And so it's just a real clean way of launching into the new year, because then they've got all week, and if they haven't promoted it already, they got all week to promote it with people to get on that January 6th, which will be your first prep and commit session. So and then also I think I mentioned about the journals. And I think one of the commitments that I would like to see them do also, and again, this is not part of the HealthPointe program, but it really is, and that is reading 15 minutes a day out of Atomic Habits, and you can go on and get a used Atomic Habits book for next to nothing, and you can get it or get a new one. It's just probably one of the best books on habit forming. And then also listening to one audio, and your coach will send you audios off of our audio list. And I'll refresh that because some of the audios right now are being credited and what have you. So I'll get a clean list to make sure that they are available to everybody. So that's my take, and I love to open it up, Eric, to the rest of the group and get your feedback.
Yeah, great. So just to make sure everyone's clear, what I'm understanding, Carol, is that we'll call it 8 weeks. The start of this starts on Monday, January 6th. And then the first week is not the first week is prep. So it starts on the 6th, and basically this is a 8-week program, kind of bookend with the first week being prep. And I love that because that is, I think, a weakness on people just not getting started right because they don't prepare correctly. So I love that. And then bookending it on the other end with kind of a celebratory wrap up. So we're most importantly talking about Monday, January 6th, somebody that wants to get going on this and start off their 2025 with a program. We're talking Monday, January 6th, effectively is the start.
That's right. And then they've got a week to make sure they've got the necessary products. They've cleaned out all the junk in their house. They've done their prep, which, your prep really is 3 days of basically regular eating with your family, what have you, preparing your family also. So we can talk a lot about what does prep really mean in a lot of different arenas. So they understand what that week is for, and to make sure that they don't say on Monday, the 13th, okay, I'm going to start the program. Well, they don't have any vitamins. They don't have any protein products. They got all this excess Christmas stuff laying around still. And they're coming in flying by the seat of their pants. It just doesn't work good.
Right. And the Monday, the 6th, there will be the first Zoom, that 20 to 30 minute Zoom. That Monday, the 6th is what you're planning on?
That's correct. Yes. And
okay.
I will send this out because, and I will just say, this will be 20 to 30 minute quick segments, and this will force us to make sure it's very short, because we do not want to have a big, long dissertation where people think, oh God, another meeting, but they also need to block that time out wherever they are. If they're in the car, they need to pull over in a parking lot and listen or watch. They can watch on their phone. But commit to those 8 times, the first time being prep and commit, the last time being celebrate and brag, and then the other 6 being the actual implementation of the program. So
and on that, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
On that Monday the 6th start, that 20 to 30 minutes, are we probably thinking what, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time?
That's what I was thinking, was 8:30. What do you guys think?
Any feedback from people on that? My vote would be 8 o'clock.
I like 8 o'clock.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. The only thing I thought of 8:30 was, do people want to keep consistent with the 8:30, being that we have 8:30 Zampa Zooms on Tuesdays, but we have 8 o'clock in the morning walk and talks on Saturday morning. So yeah, 8 sounds fine with me. I like 8 o'clock.
Okay, then we'll kind of plan on that. So 8 o'clock. And so any other I have a couple other just thoughts and not maybe some questions too, but I'll just open it up. Hank, yes.
Yeah, I have a question. Carol, can you clarify, to be prepared, are you saying that the coaches should get some of these materials now beforehand so they got the materials for the students? that go on? Can you clarify that?
Yeah, that's a very good point, Hank. Yes. And the books are very, very inexpensive. And so I would say, yes, definitely get your order in with Network 21 for those of you that are IBOs. And if you have people that you have in mind, be prepared for them. Have expectations, because you're not talking about $100 kit. You're talking about a $10 guide and a $10 journal. And you're going to be using those journals anyway after that. Yeah, definitely get those in advance so that you are ready to go. We'll make sure everybody's got the playlist in hand. Every coach has the playlist in hand, has the updated HealthPointe, and it might not just be HealthPointe too. It might be a couple of attitudinal things that with maybe even just a little spot or a little tinge of if you want to be a coach or a business builder or what have you, not heavy on that, but again, selected, and any input that you guys have would be really helpful for us to put that list together, and then we'll get that out too. So thanks, Hank. Yes, it would be prep on the coach's part too, but the actual session will be the people that are going on how to prep for the program.
Hey, Carol, this is Erica. I got a quick question for you about the buy 3, get 1 free. I just looked on the Amway website. Is it like if they get a protein powder, an omega, and a double X, then they get maybe the fiber for free?
No, the buy 3, get 1 free. What that is, now there'll be other packages on the site. This would be not for IBOs. Okay, thank you, Erica, for bringing that out. It's for preferred customers and retail customers, and it's a program that Amway puts out, and it's called Buy 3, Get 1 Free. And one of the programs is double X, omegas, and 1 bag of the protein powder. And if they buy that, they have to use that SKU number. And there's a different number for unflavored protein, 1 for chocolate and 1 for vanilla. And when they use that SKU number, it tracks with Amway. And then so once they buy that for 3 months in a row, then the 4th month, when they put that SKU number in, it pops up free once I think it's a $90 or $99 order comes into play.
Gotcha. Thank you for explaining.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, because for IBOs, yes, we do not have that buy 3, get 1 free. That is a customer-based incentive, but it's a great one, and I've used it, and I'll tell you, people will stick with that supplementation, and they'll stick with the protein, just knowing that they're going to get that 4th one free. And again, it helps create habits, and that's all we want to do here, is create healthy habits.
Great question, Erica. Yeah, thanks for the clarification on that. Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that I really like about this 2025, starting 2025 off with this, call it a cohort, call it a class, and that is, I think, generally speaking, most of us that are active coaches and stuff like that, we have a individualistic start MO, and that's fine. It's not all one way or all another way, but there's value, if you think about the things that you have gone through, where you've gotten educated, you've really kind of had a step function in your life, where you've learned something. Let's talk about school, K through 12, or maybe you went to college, or maybe you did some sort of a course. Most of those are going to be a class, a cohort. I know I'm in a class right now. We have a cadence of when we meet. And there was a cadence also of where the program started and when it finishes, when you graduate. And there's something of immense value being part of a group, of a cohort that is all moving through that you don't experience if you're freelancing it on your own. Now, there's benefits to the other too. Well, I mean, one of the most obvious benefits is that, for people that miss this January 6th start, right? That doesn't mean they they give up on 2025, right? There will be future cohorts, maybe, future classes that they could, start with, or, many of us have done wonderful following the HealthPointe program as a solo, just plugged in with our coach. And I know many people on this call that, that is the nature of things, but there's something special about knowing that you're part of a class, right? And you meet once a week. I love that. No, I'm really excited about this, Carol.
Well, and I think sometimes it sounds stringent, but it's like any class that you start in. If you don't start stringent, and this is it. This is the way it works. If you put in all these variables, then people get confused. And when they get confused, they get creative. And heaven help us when they get creative, because that's when the dominoes fall. And so we want to just keep it real clean, crisp, to the point. Basically, we want to teach the HealthPointe program all over again to new people and to all of us that, need to kind of re-embrace the program and the clarity. And the program is so clean. It is so clean. And you brought that out a million times. How many million podcasts do we have to talk about that drive right back to HealthPointe? And so we need to teach it, and we need to teach it clean and pure and to the point. And then when they get into lifetime maintenance, it's going to get, ruffled up enough as it is. But if we don't keep that first 6 weeks clean, all we're doing is playing catch up and having an unsuccessful experience.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I like again, with the class experience, it's tight without feeling like you're isolated and under a microscope, with a dogma or a doctrine. When you're in a class, and I think, this is important to emphasize too, we're not preaching perfection here. None of us, go through a 6-week cycle in perfection, but it is to be something where, you pay attention and, to the details. And when you're in a class, when you're in a cohort of any kind, there's going to be, somebody had whatever, in this case, out of town company come surprise visit them for 3 days. Okay. And we can say, oh, that shouldn't matter. It does. Let's be real. And on that week, that might have been something that, now that doesn't mean you throw up your hands and get creative and go, off the rails. And again, that's the power of the class, power of the cohort, is you get together, you're checking in with your coach, you're figuring out solutions to that and moving forward. But I think there's just a fun, relatively simple program to follow, and it's particularly fun when you're kind of feeling part of a school of fish, so to speak, or a class.
Yeah, a little community that has like-minded and wants, and it's just a good time of the year too, because January everybody wants to make new resolutions and what have you. And why people fall off the wagon is sometimes they try to do it and they're lone man on the totem pole. And this way, they're part of a community and we're doing it together. And just again, keeping it simple. January typically is a quieter month anyway. Not necessarily always, but we'll have company for a few days in there. So I got to work around it too. But yeah.
So
Eric,
yeah.
could I
Yes.
throw in one other question? Carol, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Now, how are you reaching out to some of these people that are already saying to you, I'm interested in starting HealthPointe? Are you doing it through a letter or, potential clients I'm talking about?
Okay, well, first of all, about a week and a half ago, I did send out an email. Now, I understand very, very well how when it says undisclosed recipients, most people don't even open it, unfortunately. But I did say anybody that's interested. What I also did was just clip out a little small portion of that, and then I started texting it to people. And most of all, I had it in the forefront of my own mind so that I could be thinking of people, put it out as a group or as a big, but then be thinking about people. Who have you talked to that was complaining about weight that maybe never did anything about it? Who was on the program, maybe needs to get back on the program and make some new resolutions. I think still your one-on-one connection. I mean, I'm going to do another group one, but you're still and get everybody on Monday night, because Monday night we're going to go through all of this. So get your clients, get your potentials, get your preferred customers, get your friends that were saying they got to lose weight, get them on the Zoom, and we'll go through all of this. And we're going to keep it Happy New Year, and basically the whole message will be what we're going to be doing for the next 8 weeks to launch 2025. So it'll be very customer oriented.
That's this coming Monday you're talking about?
Yeah, December 30th. So get the word out, make sure everybody gets on, and get clients, get customers, and we will also record it, but I don't want people to get sloppy and think, oh, I'll just send them a recording, because that doesn't work usually. So get them on if you can, get them on live.
Okay. And that will be a format where I know a lot of times when you're doing the program, say on Tuesday night, it's not a discussion like this Saturday. So if people have questions after they attend, it's more like a webinar where you and or Hank will be covering things, right? And then if they have questions, then they can just, get with the person that referred them to that Monday night, December 30th. Is that how you would like to approach it? Or are you going to open it up for discussion?
No, I think I would like to not do that, because I think that could get off into a lot of rabbit trails that maybe we don't want. I think that we can present what we're going to be doing and then say, hey, you'll probably have questions. The person that invited you, or, if I invited you, or Eric invited you, or whatever, whoever invited you, make sure you get with them with any questions that you have specifically, because we can work them out. I think because otherwise it's gonna be a 2-hour session. I don't want I don't want opening for questions.
And so the December 30th is at what time, as a reminder to people?
Well, that'll be 8:30, a regular 8:30 Zampa Zoom. But the Monday nights when we start the program will be 8 o'clock. Yeah. Okay.
So I think probably a lot of people that are considering this program, this awesome launching of 2025, a healthy 2025, they've got tremendous information here on this Voices of HealthPointe program. But in addition to that, they can and should attend the December 30th, kind of get reminded the details of the program or what have you. But at the end of the day, it's a program that's going to launch and start on January 6th. And so then for people that are maybe familiar with HealthPointe, are clients of HealthPointe, they know people, friends, families. We've had a lot of family time during this season. Maybe a simple reach out to say, hey, particularly if they've mentioned something. Hey, I remember you mentioned something about wanting to, do some healthy things for 2025 or whatever it was. It was a connection point with them, and then just say, hey, we've got a program that's starting for 8 weeks, starting on January 6th, and just do the simple invite. Basically, if somebody's totally thumbs down, then that's the answer. If somebody's like, yeah, I'd like to look into that. Keep it simple. they can just, come along, get started on that Monday. As I say, you can stand on your head for 6 weeks, or in this case, 8 weeks.
That's right. That's
This
right.
isn't a 5-year commitment. This isn't anything like that. This is for those that, like most people, most of us, when they start on a program like this, there's a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of, there should be. I applaud that. When people are like, I'm a little bit worried, a little bit scared, I'm a little bit lacking confidence, I'm like, man, you are right on track. You should be.
That's right. That's
know?
right.
And, but, at this point, all you got to do is kind of get started. And I love how you're laying this program out. And I just want to show additional appreciation for you, Carol, you and Hank. And, this isn't something that, you're looking for additional things to do to keep you busy. You're putting yourself into a commitment on your end to a program like this, and, giving an opportunity for people to, take advantage of something that maybe is in their mind. And that is, I'd like to get healthy in 2025. I'm looking to get started on something. And here you are, laying this out. And I know I speak for everyone here on Voices of HealthPointe. We sure appreciate you doing that and taking the time and effort to do that. Anybody else have any questions, comments?
Eric,
Yep.
Eric, we'll get the Zoom invite out today so they can forward it to the potential people that should be sitting in on Monday night, because it's not just for IBOs Monday night, it's for potential customers, clients, and all that. Right, Carol?
Great.
That's correct. That's correct.
So-
I'm just coming in to plug my phone in because it's dying out.
Yeah, we'll get the Zoom invite today to start, get in the hands of the IBOs, and then they can start forwarding it to people who are potential customers or clients. They can sit in on Monday night.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Make it very customer friendly Monday night.
Right.
The main thing is going to be Happy New Year, and let's get off to a good, healthy start. And we're going to support you on doing that. We are, and the person that invited you tonight. That's what it's going to be about.
I love it. I love it. Way to bring it home on that. Well, hey guys, we are wrapping up our final Voices of HealthPointe of the year of 2024. I think we have a lot to be proud of, a lot to celebrate. A lot of you individually have a lot to celebrate about your healthy 2024. And now let's, next time we gather, we'll be in 2025. I'm super excited about the first episode of 2025, and super excited about these programs, this January 6th cohort that you're lined up here, Carol. So with that, we'll close the books on Voices of HealthPointe 2024 and see you guys next year. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Eric.
Bye, everybody.